there's always different ways to do it. There's ways to do it if you have money. There's ways to do it if you don't have money. You just really have to look at it and explore the different ways, figure out what works for you. And when you figure that out, you just take it and run with it.
You are listening to The Gradient Radio, an open space to converse about creativity with creatives. And I am your host, Antonio Knoxx. And today, in collaboration with Richmond Fashion Week, we have a special guest. Today, our guest is not playing by the rules. When it comes to style and precision, the suit brother has his foot on the industry neck. Today, our guest is the bald-headed designer and creator, David Harrell.
That's me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Not too bad. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us your time and being here with us today.
No problem.
So for the people who may not know who you are, could you introduce yourself?
Yep. So my name is David Harrell. I'm a designer, I guess a creative. I haven't really got into embracing the whole creative thing yet, but I'm a designer, trying to get into the influencing space a little bit. But that's it, man. I'm David Harrell. Been in Richmond for maybe 15 years, somewhere around there. Originally from South Florida, but raised in Atlanta. Yep.
Yeah. So what was your journey as a designer?
Oh man, it's been crazy. Not really crazy. So I kind of got into the whole thing from, my dad. My dad has been doing men's suits and stuff like that for the longest time. And the designer piece just really came from not really seeing stuff that I really wanted to wear that was ready to wear. So I had to just create it myself. And then once I realized that I could create it myself and it was no limitations as far as like the colors, the fit, the style, that just really kind of opened my eyes and kind of really got it rolling from there. But the designer piece just really came from just not seeing what I wanted already on the market for the most part.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I hear that from a lot of designers. Typically they see what's out there that exists,
right,
but it's not necessarily something that is specifically tailored to them that they want.
Exactly.
And so they was like, well, since it doesn't exist, they create it.
Right.
What was that? Do you remember that actual moment when it was like, I'm going to go ahead and do it?
It was a friend of mine / coworker. At the time, he was going to an event, and he was like one of the most fashionable people I really met in person. Like he was first guy that I know that had like all the designer high-end sneakers and all that kind of stuff. And he was going to an event and didn't have anything to wear. And so I kind of looked and I was like, all right, well, I know you're trying to wear these sneakers, but I don't really have anything that will go with those sneakers that will really look good. So I created a custom suit for him. The suit had shorts, it had 3/4 sleeves, it had a patch on the elbow, it was a white jacket, gray shorts. I remember it like yesterday. And he wore it to the event. And when I saw it in the photos, I was like, that's crazy. And that was something that I created. So from that day on, like anytime I really wanted to see something different or wear something different or somebody approached me that wanted something different, I knew that I could create it from that point. So it was pretty cool.
Oh man. So what was the exploration process of like having an idea and then like fully seeing it come to fruition?
So that was different for sure because it was new for me. So ready to wear is very, very easy to me, just because my dad had been doing it for a while. So I know where to get stuff from. If you want something a little different, I know where to get that from. If you need something for a job interview, whatever, I know where to get that from too. But getting into custom, which was not really custom made from scratch. It was taking something that was already there and kind of, I forget what the new cool term for it is, but just kind of customizing it and making it look like that's not the way it came off the rack.
Yeah.
But, trying to find, good tailors, good seamstresses. And once you do that, trying to articulate the vision to them as to how I want this to look, how I want it to fit when it's done. That was a little bit challenging. But once I found somebody that could do like great work and like really understand what I'm trying to do, it was piece of cake from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
It seems like suiting is such a lost art. Right.
I can agree with you for sure.
So what was that? What made you do it? I know you were inspired by your father, but like what made you?
I think that's really it, man. My father just he's been doing it for so long, man. Like I have pictures from a kid, like maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I have a suit on with my dad and like another family member, and we all in our suits and stuff like that. But so my dad had been doing it while he was working at the post office. He retired from the post office, opened his store, and I went down and helped him open the store. So when I got down there, I was like, I left my job for like almost a year, and I was helping him with that. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. I could see myself doing this. And then I ended up leaving and coming back to Richmond and kind of went back to work and doing all that kind of stuff. But I had that taste in my mouth already. So once I had that taste in my mouth of being like out there and like doing the business thing, I kind of always had it in the back of my head. As soon as the opportunity comes up, I'm just going to jump back out there. And then it kind of presented itself, and I just took it and ran with it. Yeah.
You mentioned Richmond. Why Richmond? What led you to Richmond? Because initially you said you was born in South Florida.
Yes.
Then you went to Atlanta and now Richmond. So
Richmond it's kind of a funny story, but not really. So I used to sell cars for CarMax, and I was working in Virginia Beach at the time. That was different too, because basically my brother-in-law joined the military and he went out on a boat. So I came up to help my sister out with my nephew while he was on the boat. So while he was there, I went ahead and got a job and did all that kind of stuff. So I met this guy at CarMax, and he basically walked up to me. He's like, I heard you're doing pretty good numbers down here. Whenever you're ready to make some real money, you need to come to Richmond. So I'm like, I don't know what he means by that, but I looked at the numbers and I saw the volume they were doing in Richmond was way higher than what we were doing in Virginia Beach, because Virginia Beach was fairly new.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving to Richmond, and I left for a little bit, and I ended up coming back and then started a family. And then that was pretty much it for me. I just ended up staying after I, kind of started the family and everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So to do what you do, you really have to focus in on like the details.
Yes,
How
for sure.
important is it for artists to hone in on the details of what they do?
I think it's important, man, just because the details matter. Like, I don't think a lot of people really realize the details matter. Like, even if you look at someone's look and their appearance, like both you and I could have the same suit on.
Yeah.
But the details are going to really change that look. Like for you, you might like to wear rings or hats or whatever the case may be, or maybe a different pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I might just put the suit on with a white shirt and a pair of loafers and be done. Somebody might see you and be like, man, that's clean.
Yeah.
Like that's super fashionable, like really high fashion.
Yeah.
They might look at me, I got on the exact same thing, but they might look at me and be like, okay, you got a suit on. That's
it's different. Yeah, yeah.
So I think kind of paying attention to the details and like caring about what you're doing, I think is really important too, because a lot of people get into stuff for certain reasons, and it's either about the money or it's about the cloud or whatever it may be. But I think you got to really care about what you're doing in order to make sure you're doing it the right way and doing it, especially if you're selling a product.
Yeah.
Because it's not about you anymore. It's about the person that's buying the product or receiving the product. So you got to pay attention to what they like, also what you like, and kind of what is received and how it's received too.
Yeah. Off camera, we talked about your brand and, social media. What has helped your brand get to where it's at now? Social media has been a huge part for me. I use Instagram a lot. I use Facebook a lot. But it's been a huge thing. And I say that because social media allowed me to get linked up with certain stylists that are already in the industry and things like that. That's actually been, to me, one of the largest factors that's kind of helped me when it comes to the custom suit business is social media and getting linked up with stylists and stuff like that. Like one of the stylists I work with now, he dresses Slick Rick. He assists with Queen Latifah. He's done Anthony Hamilton. He did a project with Swiss Beats. Like they're doing like a lot of these different celebrities and things like that. And when you think about it, it's like, I'm like a layer away from those people. Yeah.
Obviously they don't know me.
For sure.
They've never met me before, but some of them have been in the room with my clothes and not even known that it was my stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say social media is huge just because you can meet people that can really change the trajectory of your career and what you're trying to do, for sure.
Yeah. So do you imagine that your entire life would be different if it wasn't for social media?
I think work-wise, yes, for sure. Career, I think what I'm doing could be a little bit harder. I would have had to, either way, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can say it definitely would have been different if I didn't have like Instagram and TikTok and all the different social platforms to use to reach out to and for people to reach out to me and find me and things like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've been in Richmond for a couple of years now.
Yes.
What has Richmond influenced any types of designs, or have you been inspired by Richmond in any way?
I can say yes, just because I hadn't really done a fashion show where I created all of the pieces until I did Richmond Fashion Week. Most of the stuff that we did fashion show wise was like just ready to wear stuff. So I'll pull stuff from different vendors and we put it in fashion shows and things like that. But I did Richmond Fashion Week a couple years ago, and that was the first time that I actually created and designed and put together the whole collection for that show. So Richmond has been a huge factor for me as far as like growing as a creator and a designer and things like that.
Yeah. Yep. So you mentioned Richmond Fashion Week, which is coming up soon. What can we expect?
Man, I can't even tell you right now. I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress. So I do plan on playing around with a few things. I'm going to bring out a little bit of leather. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a couple different colors and textures that I haven't really used before. But usually what I try to do is I do some traditional silhouettes and I just put a different twist on it.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on the collection. I think we got a few weeks until the show, but everything will be ready to roll by then. I'm still working on it.
Yeah. So, we're in a modern age where most people don't necessarily wear suits.
Right.
Right. So do you wear suits like almost every day?
I don't wear them every day, but I wear them a lot though.
Okay.
The difference between me and a lot of people with suits is I don't look at it as being dressed up when I have a suit on. It's comfortable for me. Just like people could throw on like the Nike Tech, and a pair of shorts or a sweatsuit and they're comfortable. I'm comfortable in a suit. But I also wear suits with loafers and lace ups, and I also wear them with sneakers too.
Yeah.
Just because it's just comfortable for me. So I just kind of do it the way it, however I'm feeling for the day is going to determine what I'm wearing for the most part.
Yeah. Do you think people treat you differently when you have a suit on?
I can say I honestly feel like they do. To a certain extent. There are certain people that's just going to look at you and they're going to be like, you. I don't care what kind of clothes you got on. But I can honestly say like my interactions with people when I'm dressed up are completely different than they are when I just have on jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
People are, oh man, you look nice. And oh man, where'd you get that from? Even coming here to where we're shooting this podcast, on the way in, there was a guy, man, that is a beautiful color on that suit. And, just like it opens up conversations that I probably wouldn't have had if I'd have been jeans, t-shirt, hat pulled down a little bit, like not really looking like I'm open to any conversation. I feel like people think I'm a little bit more approachable when I dress like this though.
Yeah. Speaking of the suit, is that mauve? Like
yes.
Yeah.
Like of course falls into that pink family, but
For
it's definitely more on the mauve side for sure. Yeah.
So are you open to wearing like any type of colors, any type of?
If it looks good on my skin, I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Certain colors I put on, I'm like, no, this is not working. Like I don't personally look good in browns that are close to my skin tone.
Okay.
So I stay away from it. I did it one time and I felt like I was the UPS man. It kind of just gave me like I just didn't feel right in the color.
Yeah.
But as long as the color looks good on my skin, I'm open to anything. Like I'll wear pink and yellows, and I don't really do a lot of neon, like loud colors like that. But if I try it and it looks good, I'm open to it.
So that just makes me wonder if you were the president, a couple years ago when Barack wore that like tan suit, right? Like you as a president, would you just stick to like the blue and the black, or you just like
I'm wearing everything. I'm wearing burgundy, tan, black. I'm wearing all the colors, man. Yeah. It's a suit, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you really saying if you have a problem with somebody wearing a tan suit? Like, it's still a suit at the end of the day. I still don't understand what the heck the problem was with that.
Yeah.
It was different.
Yeah, it was.
But different isn't always bad though.
100%.
Right.
So where do you see your brand in the next couple of years?
Man, I'm trying to take it to the moon, man, honestly. I'm going to do something a little bit differently though, for sure. I don't think, and I'm not saying that I'm different than anybody else, but I don't think there's a lot of people in the space that we're in that's doing it the way that I'm doing it. I actually want to create my own private label, separate from what I'm doing now, that can be carried in stores and things like that. Because I want to do the whole thing.
Could you explain what that means, private label?
Oh yeah, sure. So private label is not really that hard to explain. I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it. So you can have a brand, like, so for example, if I had a brand of men's suits, You could come to me and say, hey, Dave, I really like those suits, but I want to sell them under my own label. I would say, cool. Send me your logo, send me all your information. I can take these suits and I'll basically put your label in my suits, and then you sell them as if it's yours.
It's yours. Okay.
So it's just a private label.
Okay. That makes sense.
But you can also partner with me to create your own designs, and they can still be a part of the private label as well. Because you don't have to create it. You're basically using all my resources and my factories and everything like that to create your products. That would technically be like your line if it's your own thing that you designed. Yeah. But you can also do like a private label through me and just, advertise it or sell it as your own.
Yeah. So for someone who is walking into the industry, want to create suits and they don't know how to go about the process, what type of inspiration or gem would you give to them to not give up in the process?
Man, it's really just you gotta stick with it and don't be afraid to ask somebody. Unfortunately, it's not a whole lot of people that's going to give you the information and give you the game.
Yeah.
I'll admit I was one of the ones that would kind of just give everybody the information like a little while ago. But I found myself taking up so much time giving people information and game that they just never used. So I don't really do it as often as I used to, unless I see somebody I'm like, no, they're going to take this and run with it. Because I got a guy now that I helped get started. And when I say help get started, I literally just gave him information and he took it and ran with it. But he's getting ready to open his own store in Ohio in the next month. He's opening up a store in Ohio. He's already dressed people on TV and met with Shannon Sharp. He has a suit with Shannon Sharp. Like, he's already doing his thing. But it was as simple as just taking the information that I gave him and using it and putting his own twist and putting his own flair to it and just running with it. Yeah. But I think the biggest gem that I can give, man, is just there's always different ways to do it. There's ways to do it if you have money. There's ways to do it if you don't have money. You just really have to look at it and explore the different ways, figure out what works for you. And when you figure that out, you just take it and run with it. Yeah. Yep.
Hey, man, I want to say thank you. Thank you for us having this conversation. I learned so much more. As I mentioned off screen, like, I'm definitely going to get a suit 100%.
Oh, yeah. We're going to make it happen.
100%. Because I when you came up, I knew it was you, right? Just from like the suit and like how, dapper you were. So I was just like, that's him. That's David.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
So yes, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
My name is Antonio Knoxx. That is David Harrell. And this was the Gradient Radio.
Appreciate it, man.
For sure.